of asking whether the love was going in one direction only. The $3,000 was 2 years before the hospital. He needed it for first and last month's rent on an apartment after a breakup. I gave it to him because he asked, and because he was my brother, and because at the time I still believed there was a version of Cody that would pay things back eventually, if given enough patience. He never mentioned it again. I brought it up once, about 8 months later, and he said he had been dealing with a lot and that I knew he was good for it. He was not good for it. He never intended to be good for it. The money was gone the moment I gave it to him, and the fiction that it was a loan existed only to make the asking easier. When I think about that $3,000 now, I do not think about the money itself. I think about the confidence it took to borrow it from someone who had asthma severe enough to require hospitalization, and then never once ask how I was managing my medical costs. That is not an oversight. That is a specific kind of self-centeredness that operates without embarrassment. The dog was 6 weeks of Paloma's time and energy. Cody had a lease situation, which is how he described what was actually getting evicted from an apartment because he had stopped paying rent. And the building didn't allow pets, so he needed somewhere for his dog to stay. Paloma likes dogs. She said yes. The 6 weeks became 10 weeks, and Cody picked the dog up without giving us any notice, just showed up one afternoon and loaded the dog into his car and never said thank you to Paloma once. The midnight bar pickup was the one I thought about the most after the hospital. It was a Tuesday. I had work the next morning and had been asleep for 2 hours when he called. He was stranded at a bar 40 minutes from my house and needed a ride because he did not want to pay for a cab. Could not pay, did not want to. I drove 40 minutes there and 40 minutes back, and he fell asleep in the passenger seat and woke up when I pulled into his driveway and got out without saying anything. No thank you, no acknowledgement. He walked inside, and I drove home and got 4 hours of sleep before work. What I remember about that drive back is that I thought he would call the next day. He did not call, he did not text, he did not mention it the next time we spoke. It had already been filed under things people do for Cody and closed without ceremony. These are not dramatic stories individually. They are the kind of ordinary extractions that happen slowly in families where one person is always in some form of crisis and everyone around them has been conditioned to respond. I had been responding for years without adding it up. After the hospital, I added it up. I did not make a speech about it. I did not write him a letter or call a family meeting or post anything on the internet. I just stopped answering. His calls went to voicemail. His texts went unread. He had revealed himself in that hospital room in a way that could not be taken back, and I was not interested in pretending otherwise. Paloma understood immediately and completely. She had been watching me manage Cody for the 4 years we had been together, and she had her own inventory of things she had never said to me directly because she did not want to push me toward a decision I was not ready to make. After the hospital, she stopped being diplomatic about it. She said she was glad I was done, and she was sorry it took something that extreme to get there. She said she had been in the room. She had heard what he said, and she had seen him leave. She had watched my heart rate climb on the monitor after he walked out. She said she was not going to pretend she had forgiven him on my behalf, and she was not going to be the one to suggest I should either. That last part mattered more than she knew. For years, the unspoken expectation in my family had been that the people around Cody would eventually absorb whatever he did and return to baseline. My mother modeled it constantly. You absorbed it, you found the explanation, you went back to the table. Paloma, refusing to